Tales at Dawn by Moonlight presents The Whore by AK Mirza. The neon lights flickered above Mira's head, casting an artificial glow on the cracked pavement beneath her heels. The street smelled of cheap liquor, sweat, and desperation. She stood on the corner, her arms folded against the cold, her eyes scanning the passing cars with the practiced indifference of someone who had long since stopped hoping for something better. She wasn't expecting kindness. She never did. Men passed by, some slowing their cars to roll down tinted windows, their voices thick with desire and entitlement. "How much, sweetheart? You up for something special tonight?" "You know you love it." She had heard it all. Words, stripped of humanity, reducing her to a transaction, a fleeting pleasure, a forgotten regret. Whore! The word was whispered, spat, or laughed at, but it always followed her, clinging to her like cigarette smoke. She hated it, but she also owned it. Because when the world gave you a name, you either let it break you or you wore it like armor. Tonight was just like any other, until it wasn't. A man stood at a distance, watching her, not in the usual way men did, with hunger in their eyes and money in their fists. His gaze held something different. Curiosity, maybe. Pity, perhaps. She wasn't sure which she hated more. He approached. "Cold night," he said, his voice smooth, devoid of mockery. Mira snorted, lighting a cigarette. "And yet, here you are." He smiled, but it wasn't the leering grin she was used to. "I'm not looking for what you're selling." She exhaled a cloud of smoke. "Then you're wasting both our time." He didn't leave. That was new. Instead, he studied her, his hands tucked into the pockets of his jacket. "What's your name?" She raised an eyebrow. "You already know it?" "No," he said, shaking his head. "Not the name they call you. Your real name." Mira felt something tighten in her chest. She had spent so long being her, the version of herself that men bought and discarded, that the question almost startled her. Her name? The one her mother had given her. The one she had whispered to herself as a child, dreaming of something better. She took a drag of her cigarette, exhaling slowly, buying herself time. "What's it to you?" she asked, her voice sharp, defensive. He shrugged. "I think people forget you had a life before this, a name before this." She laughed, but it was hollow. "And what? You think knowing it will make me less of a whore?" The word landed between them, heavy, ugly. She had said it first, daring him to flinch, to turn away, but he didn't. "I think you were someone before the world called you that," he said. "And I think you're still her." Something burned in her throat. Anger, maybe. Or something worse, something dangerously close to hope. She had been Mira once, not a whore, not a product, not a joke. Just Mira. A girl with dreams, a girl with a future. But the world had a way of taking those things and grinding them into the dirt. She flicked her cigarette onto the pavement, crushing it beneath her heel. "Go home," she said, turning away. "This place isn't for people like you. I don't think it's for you either." he said softly. She froze for half a second. Then she walked away, heels clicking against the pavement, disappearing into the neon-lit shadows. Because no matter what he thought, she knew the truth. Hope was for people who had the luxury to believe in it. And Mira had long since stopped believing in anything.